Welcome to the Personal Innovation Podcast, brought to you by personalinnovationhub.com. This podcast is all about igniting dreams, passions, careers, and social impact. The objective is for us all to master our inner gifts, create our own future, and live our lives as a love story while leaving a dent on the universe. And now, here's your host, Eric Suryiram.
Hello, Innovation family. Thank you very much for tuning in to your motivational personal innovation podcast. I am Eric Suryiram, your personal innovation evangelist. My work is simply to make us all think bigger about who we are, what we do in a unique way, and how we can change the world through doing what we love. Remember to subscribe to the Personal Innovation Podcast. This podcast is where I present to you the love stories of wonderful people who are falling in love with themselves, living their dreams, their passions, and are creating careers that impact the world. Do not forget to visit personalinnovationhub.com. It is where you want to go if you're looking for information, knowledge, and the inspiration to build a powerful career based on your dreams, your passions, and use it to impact the world. By the way, you can email me, coaching@personalinnovationhub.com. In this episode of your Motivational Personal Innovation Podcast, I bring to you yet another interesting guest by name Daniel Kweku Anguah, founder and president of CARE. My brother, on behalf of the Innovation family, I welcome you to the Personal Innovation Podcast.
Thank you, Eric, for having me.
Great. Are you ready to help my listeners dream, no matter how small, become more passionate about their dreams, create their own unique careers, and leave a dent on the universe?
Yes, definitely. And then also, aside that, I would add that no dream is ever too small.
No dream.
But I'm very ready to. It's ever too small.
No dream is ever too small. Great. Will you rather innovate or stagnate, and why?
I'll innovate. And I'll say this. I'll say one cannot progress by being stagnant. So if I prefer to stagnate, then it means I am not developing myself. Also means I am not making the impact that I wish to make. And a stagnating person never grows. You never develop. You never make any impact. You remain the same. So, of course, I'd rather innovate.
That's so powerful.
And also, I remember I read somewhere, to reach your full potential, you must form a habit of putting the pressure on yourself and develop your qualities. So, developing your qualities will help you innovate.
Value nuggets have started dropping already, and I'm sure this episode will be an interesting one. Can you please tell us a bit more about yourself?
Okay, well, Daniel Kweku Anguah Jr., that's who I am, Daniel Kweku Anguah Jr. And I grew up, simultaneously in Tema Newtown, a small fishing community, and the S-West Students Village in Esiakwa. Yeah, and then from there, I moved on to GSTS in Takrade. And I always mention GSTS wherever I go because that's the school that made me. And then from GSTS, I had a BSc in Port and Shipping Administration at the Regional Maritime University, and then had an LLB. Yeah, and then from there, I realized whatever I did in school isn't what I want to be, because I read Port and Shipping, I read law, and then they had nothing to do with what I wanted to do. But my passion was to help people, so to speak. So I decided to start a small movement to protect children's rights. I didn't want children to grow up like where I grew up, because if you know Tema Newtown very well, the fishing village, you know some of these children need their right to be provided and protected for. So I thought, then why don't I start something to help children not to grow like how I grew up? Because my parents actually had a tough time bringing me and my little sister up. We slept in a very small, something we call a room. And then from there we moved to a bar, like a drinking spot, a blue kiosk. So at the end of the day, we have to put the tables together and then sleep on it. The next morning we turned into a bar. So when after my degrees, I realized that these things all started coming back to me. So I have to do something so other people do not go through what I went through, because I didn't like that. So I didn't understand why someone else would have to go through. Yeah, in brief. And I've always wanted to be a footballer, but unfortunately, life actually brought me this way. So that's pretty who I am.
Wow. Looks like you are ahead of everything here. I was going to ask you about what you actually dreamt about becoming, what you fantasized becoming. You already hinted that your education, what you learned in school, is not what you're doing today. And you also hinted that you dreamt of becoming a footballer. Can you tell us more about what your dream was and what you're doing today. Is there a relation?
Okay. There's no relation whatsoever between my childhood dream, and what I'm doing right now. I grew up in Temanutong, as I said, and Shamokwe, if you remember, was our idol. He was my personal idol at the time. So I always wanted to be like Shamokwe. In other words, I wanted to be a footballer, and I wanted to be better than Shamokwe. So it was like my idol, my mentor, my hero. So growing up, there was nothing. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to learn. I just wanted to play football. But unfortunately, I got myself injured, and along the way, I knew I had to stop playing football. So yeah. That's what brought me here.
So, what was running through your mind when you went to study at the Maritime University? What did you study?
Ports and Shipping Administration.
What were you going to do with that degree?
Honestly, I went to school because I had to go to school, and that was a course available for me. Because after secondary school, that's GSTS, I stayed home for a year because school wasn't part of my plan. But then I realized the football career wasn't going to work. And at the time, just like many other Ghanaians or many other youths across the world, we realized that, okay, we have to go to school. But we don't realize, or we don't find ourselves before going to school. We don't think through what I'm going to do in school. I want to do this course because this is what I want to do in future. So I just entered school. I wanted to go to school. So I started the course that was available. So I just did the course.
Let's go on. You went ahead to study LLB. What were you going to do with the LLB?
Okay, so that's when after I'd gotten interest in protecting children's rights, then I realized the law is actually the foundation of rights. If I want to protect people's rights, I have to know the law. So that's actually what prompted me or propelled me to go and study law, hence the LLB.
So tell us, what puts you on fire today? What is your passion today?
Well, I always feel I am letting people down, a lot of people down. Anytime I go to bed, what I do is I scan through whatever I did throughout the day. Did I achieve something? Did I impact on someone's life? So that's actually what keeps me awake, puts me on fire, that I'm letting a lot of people down. And a lot of less fortunate who actually are crying for help. And then I and many other youths or many other people across the globe have to hear their cry. So that's what puts me on fire. And also the future I want. I read somewhere about the future I want was a treaty or a conference, a UN conference on sustainable development. And I read in that article that we have to leave the environment or the earth as we met it or better than we met it for our future generations. That's intergenerational equity. So that's something I really want to push for, that we leave the world a better place for our next generation to come and meet it, so they can also enjoy and benefit from what we left. So that's what puts me on fire. That's what drives me. Yeah.
Wow. You mentioned that school wasn't part of your plans. School wasn't at all part of your plans, but you went into school anyway. Now, tell us, you learned certain things, or you studied certain things in school. Tell us, the things you do today, what percentage of them didn't you learn from school?
A chunk of it, I would say. Maybe I learned only maybe 30% or 40% of what I did in school. That's the LLB. That's the traditional academic schooling curriculum. But like I said earlier, I always attribute most of the things I do to GSTS, even though it's just a secondary school. But then it was a school that did not only focus on academics. It focused about, let's say, 60% on academics and the remaining 40% on extracurricular, making a man, building a man, developing a man. So the school actually made me strong. It made me who I am. Even though it didn't directly take me to classroom to teach me that, okay, you have to protect someone's rights, you have to volunteer, you have to do all those. It taught me the academic aspects. But then aside that, it groomed me. It made me who I am. And I'll say maybe with the LLB, that has opened my eye to know the law, to be able to protect children's rights and many other people as well. So just a little bit of it, that's maybe the little part of the LLB. That's the part that I took from school. But every other thing I learned on my own. Yeah.
Wow.
And something I didn't say earlier when I was introducing myself, that I'm a self-taught wood engineer. And I didn't learn this from any classroom. I didn't learn this from any school. I just happened to move to a new apartment. I called a carpenter to make a wardrobe for me. And the money he mentioned was outrageous. And apparently that was standard. So I thought to myself, why can't I do this? Why would I have to pay someone to do this for me? So I just gathered scrap wood and I realized I could do it. So I did it. And friends came to see it. Oh, it's nice. I want one. And it became business. So I'm a self-taught engineer. I didn't learn that from school.
Wow. I am loving this already. You have mentioned being self-taught. You've mentioned to me that you were self-taught. You based on your experience, what do you think education should be? Education, what should it be? Based on your experience?
I think it should be 50% academics and 50% extracurricular. Because we are all not the same. I remember growing up, at a point I couldn't write very early at SOS. I couldn't write S, but I could write 8. We all don't think alike. I will learn, but then I can't write S. No matter what you do, I can't write S. I can write 8. So you should know that maybe I'm not so academically inclined. And I remember I was writing an essay about myself. What's your favorite food? And I wrote, my favorite food is. So you see, I ate rice and stew. And stew, I wrote 8TEW. So they started calling me 8. Do you get it? And then you realize academics wasn't my thing. Eventually, I picked up. But if maybe the educational system had taken time to know who I am, many other children who were like me, to know who I am, what my interest was. I loved football at the time. I was very good at PE. I loved football at the time. So if they had maybe groomed me on that side, who knows, I would have been better than Ronaldo or Messi. There are many other children who are good in arts, music, but then they are forced to learn mathematics, to learn science, even though they are failing. And then they are beaten because they are failing, without giving due regards to what their strengths are. Because you are in school, you have to learn mathematics, you have to learn science, you have to learn social studies. So I think it should be 50-50. Because the academics aspect is part. It opens your mind. It makes you know so many things. And then also we should go to the extracurricular, the arts aspect, the technical aspect. That would actually groom the person. If the person isn't good in academics, maybe the person is good in arts, the person is good in singing, whatever. So you groom that person in that field. So that's why, again, I say GSTS, because it's a secondary technical school. There was the technical aspect and the secondary aspect. So we did both the academics and the technical. So that's how education should be.
Wow.
More practical.
What do you have to tell parents and students who are still in school, or parents who are getting their students to go through our normal formal education? What should they start doing?
Well,
first of all, for parents and then to students.
Yes. Okay. So for the parents, I'll say to them that our educational system is not failing us, but then it's also not making us. So they should take time to know their children, their interests, what they are good at. So even after school hours, they take them to wherever they can learn the other aspects of their other talents. Let's say a child is good in playing football or good in singing. The child goes to school, maybe on weekends you can find an extra classes, extra football class. You can put the child in a football team. That's what my parents did to me. So they realized I was good in football. So I was signed up for a team called Young Hearts in Tema. And Young Hearts are actually groomed a lot of footballers in Ghana. If you followed Accra Folk from way back, maybe the early 90s, you would know, or early 2000s, you know Ishmaelado. That's the same team he played. Yeah. So they put me to the team. So that's where I grew myself. So every day after school, I go straight to the park to go and train. So parents shouldn't only focus on the academics. They should focus on the other talents of their children too.
Wow. Parents, talent is very important. Talent is very, very important.
So I'm saying with the students, they should find their talents. And when they find their talents, they should try as much as possible to develop their talents, even if they are not getting support. Look, now our secondary schools have so many clubs. We have the writers club, we have a football team, we have a debaters club, we have singing clubs, and so on and so forth. So you find your talent and then find a club in the secondary school that will help you develop your talent, and then join that club. So whilst you are getting the academic excellence, you're also excelling at your talents. Yeah. So this is what I'll say to the parents and then the students.
What will you say is your personality type? Have you identified your personality type? And do you think knowing your personality type can influence the things you do on a daily basis?
Yes. I always mix this thing. I don't know which particular personality type I am because I feel I'm a bit of this and a bit of that. But then on top of it all, I'll say I'm a bit of sanguine and choleric because I am very enthusiastic. I like to do things. I like to move. I like to take action. In the same vein too, I'm very social or sociable. But in the same vein, I am quick to be irritated. Let's say I'm just walking and then you say something bad about you drop a sachet. I'll just get pissed. Not pissed, but maybe irritated. I just walk, see someone drop a rubber. It irritates me quickly. You get it? But then also they've helped me because the first one, being a sanguine, makes me know that reading about sanguines brings that you are supposed to be active, which I am, enthusiastic, which I am, sociable, which I am. So it tells me it's always ringing in my head. Yo, Masa, you can do this. This is who you are. You're enthusiastic. You take action. People like you. You like people. So do it for them. That one pushes me. And then also, on the other hand, being a choleric and short-tempered and quick to be irritated, it helps me to calm my temper because I've known that that's who I am. So anytime someone does something or says something that kicks me, I just keep quiet, take a deep breath, say to myself, don't say anything now. Because if you say something now, you might destroy the relationship you have with the person or you might escalate the whole issue. So it keeps me on my toes all the time.
All right. What is your favorite quote and what do you want my Innovation family to learn from it?
Well, I don't quite have a favorite quote, but then the one that has been ringing in my mind is something I heard from Professor Klaus Schwab, the executive director of the World Economic Forum and founder. He said impatience is a virtue. You know, we always say patience is a virtue, but he said in a speech, said impatience is a virtue. And then this is how I understood it, that I want our innovation family to learn from this that they should not be patient with their dreams. Because if you are very patient with your dreams, it will make you procrastinate all the time.
Yeah.
And then once you are procrastinating your dreams all the time, it gives you more time to doubt yourself. Oh, I can't do this. I should have done this last year. I couldn't even do it last year. Now, I can't do it. You get it? But then you have to be impatient. You have to just move towards your dream. If this is what you have on your mind, first of all, write it down, think about it, make a plan, take the first step. But then once you are very patient, you keep procrastinating and at the end of the day, you doubt yourself and then you might not even attempt it at all.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's my favorite quote, if I should say.
Wow. All right, let's go on. Entrepreneurship or employment? Which of these two will you choose any day and why?
Entrepreneurship or employment? Okay. So for starters, as a startup, I would choose both.
All right.
I would choose both because from my perspective, I don't have much capital to start what I want to start. So of course, I would maybe enter into or I'll get myself employed if possible. And then through my salary, save some money for capital for my entrepreneurial endeavor. So once I have enough capital, then I'll probably quit my job, my day job, that's the employment, and now enter into entrepreneurship. Most people rush and say, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm just leaving my job and go. If you have your capital, fine. If you have your support, fine. But if you don't have your support, I would advise that you save some money with your salary. Once you have enough capital to start your enterprise and sustain you move on.
Wow. Interesting. Innovation family value bombs are being dropped, and I'm sure you're enjoying this episode as I am. My brother, tell us, what will you say is your career today?
It's simple. I'm a social change evangelist. That's what I say. Just like the many pastors who are, let me say, called of God or said they are called of God. I feel this is also my calling to propagate the gospel to change the world socially. So, everything I do is for the social good, because I want to enforce social change through volunteerism and entrepreneurship, and it's not my dream job as a child, but then it's something that I've grown to love, something that I've realized that I'm bound to do. I'm bound to do it. There's something binding upon me to do it. So that's my career. Whatever I do is for the social good. So yeah.
Where do you want to go with this career? What is your career and personal goals with this?
Well, to protect human rights, not just children, but then to protect human rights. So that's why I founded what I call the left rights. So like the left hand and the right hand, but left rights. That means rights that have been left behind. So I
Wow.
want in on top of it, or at the end of the day, or if the world is coming to an end, by that time I should be able to ensure and enforce that all human beings' rights are protected and provided for.
So
That
tell
is
us,
my ultimate goal.
all right. So tell us about care and the left rights that you just mentioned. Give us some gist
Okay.
about care, what that project is all about, what you seek to do for humanity.
Okay. So CARE, that stands for Children Are Reason Enough. It's an abbreviation for Children Are Reason Enough. And it seeks to protect children's rights. It's founded on the United Nations Convention on Rights of the Child, 1989. So whatever is in there, that's what we want to do. Not just education, health, but even leisure and playtime needs are rights of children. And so we try to protect children's rights across board. We have what we call the rescue project, where we go to these hinterlands, children who are being trafficked, children who are in child labor or all sort of inhumane activities. We try to rescue these children, bring their issues to light, then the responsible government agency will take it from there. And for left right, as I said, for now, what left right is doing is sensitization, education, just like what the NCC is supposed to do or what NCC does. We also educate people on their rights,
Wow.
especially those in the hinterlands. And then I have two other organizations that I work with. The one is called Gold Coast Volunteers, which I started this year with three other friends, Doreen, Kwamina, and Veronica. And then what we seek to do is we've realized that we can't put all the burden on government. And then you and I, the social changes, can't do everything on ourselves or on our own. So we want to promote the value of volunteerism in Ghana. And once people appreciate the value of volunteerism, they realize that they can even help more than the government. Because where some of us can go, the government doesn't even know about. So it's up to us to why we started the Gold Coast Volunteer to promote the value of volunteerism. And hopefully next year we'll be in talks with the government to be the main volunteering organ of government and also probably partner with the United Nations volunteers. And then also the next one is REAL, Refugee Integration Organization, which I'm a co-director of. And we seek to integrate refugees into the community because they don't have to be a burden on government. Refugees must be able to stand on their own. We don't have to look down upon them. So we run courses for refugees, cultural and integrational and economic courses for them to be able to integrate, to find jobs, and then transferable skills so that they can also come out of their refugee camps to find jobs and then make life and then make a living for themselves. Yeah.
My brother, I see you are a social entrepreneur that is budding with a lot of ideas, a lot of enthusiasm, and the zeal to cause change. And I love that already because that is all personal innovation is all about. And that is what I talk about every day. Now, how did you discover your career path? Tell us about how the whole journey started for you.
Okay, so I believe reflecting on, and I didn't realize when it came to me, but then I've taken time to reflect on how it all happened. And then I realized it started from childhood. Because the two places I grew up, SOS Children's Village and then Tema Newtown. SOS Children's Village is an orphanage, if you like. My parents were alive, but you may say they were broke. So I go to the SOS Children's and on vacations I come back to Tema Newtown. So I was like taken care of through an act of volunteerism.
Okay.
So that's so from the inception, I realized that I was someone's volunteer project because the person took care of me without being paid, and the person was taking care of so many other children without being paid, children at risk, orphans and destitute children. Okay, so reflecting, I realized that's how I was brought up. So that's how I realized I could also do something to help. And then, like I said about the kiosk, living in the kiosk and all of those, I wouldn't want anyone to be in that situation. So why don't I do the little I can to help salvage people in such situations? And Yeah. So through that, all these things coming to me, I believe that's how. And then also, I won't say this without mentioning GSTS, the Ghana Second Technical School in Takrade. It's also groomed me as a man, even though I was a boy at the time. And then through all those, I developed the love and passion to volunteer. And that's how it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Innovation family believes that all humans are unique, and I'm sure you also believe same.
Yes.
What would you say is that particular skill or ability, talent or personality trait that makes you stand out from anyone else who is doing exactly what you are doing today?
Okay, first of all, I'll say my ability to draw, encourage, and convince other people to help or to volunteer. Because as it stands now, I have a host of volunteers, and then these people are drawn to volunteer because of what I do. My team and we do. So that's one thing, because most of the organizations come to me to say, okay, can I have some of your volunteers? And it's as if they are borrowing, but then I'm proud of it that people tend to me to say, I need volunteers. Can I come to you for volunteers? So I think that's the one thing that makes me stand out, because most other organizations also, let me say the NGOs, no offense, but then most NGOs only do donations. Let's go to an orphanage to donate. They go and dump things on them. Some of them don't even find out what these children need. They just, in their own kind of think, let's give them rice, let's give them used clothes. But they realize these children, these institutions have a major need. They need more than just, because before you go to them, they're already wearing clothes. They've already eaten before you went to them. So we actually go to the core to find out what the main issue is and how we can help for these children to develop themselves, because they need equal opportunities. You don't have to just go and dump used clothes on them. So that's what makes me and my organization and my team stand out, because go to the core, give the children opportunity that will help them develop themselves and take charge of their own future.
Take charge of their own future.
Yes,
my brother,
it sounds
like everything is going smoothly with you. But I know that in social entrepreneurship and in this world of business and in career, everything cannot be smooth. What is your biggest struggle today? What are the challenges that you're facing in your career, in your social work today, and how are you working to win the game?
Okay, so the biggest challenge so far is that the value of volunteerism is not upheld in Ghana. I'm not aware of volunteers in other countries, so I'll stick to Ghana. Because even if you offer to volunteer someone, they turn you down or they look down upon you because they think you have no value. Why would you come and want to volunteer when you can charge? Because they want you to charge something big that they realize, okay, you are actually really good. So volunteers are not respected in Ghana. But when you are embarking on volunteer initiative, people think you just want to dupe them. People think you just want to just take their money from them. That's the perception most people have in Ghana, and that's the number one challenge. And number two challenge is the people whose rights you seek to protect don't even know that it's their right. I want to protect you. I want to tell you that you have to be in school. It's your right to be in school, but you don't even know it's your right. So how do you cooperate with me to help you? So these people don't know their rights, and that's the major challenge. So what we are doing to help is to sensitize. We went there thinking that, okay, we went there with a holier than thou, all knowing, thinking that, okay, they know it's their rights, but then it's being infringed upon. So let's go and help them. Superman. But then we realized that we were wrong. We rather have to educate them on their rights. And when they realize that they have the right to 3, but then they are given less than 1, they will allow you to help them. So that's right now what we are doing is more of sensitization to educate them on their rights, and then we kept that challenge.
All right, that's great. What do you think? Everybody has weaknesses. We all have our own weaknesses. What do you think we need to do about our weaknesses to achieve our goals?
First of all, you need to acknowledge and accept your weakness. That's the very first step. If you don't do that, you can never overcome your weakness. You need to acknowledge that this is my weakness and accept it as part of it and be committed. I always tell people to be committed to their weaknesses as much as they are committed to their goals, because your goals and your weaknesses move hand in hand. If you don't overcome your weaknesses, you never attain your goal. So what I do is I acknowledge and accept my weakness. Sometimes I pray over it. I'm not so prayerful. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, but I'm not so prayerful, which is a weakness, of course, and I have to work on. But then sometimes I actually pray over my weaknesses for divine intervention, if I may say. And even in the Bible, I think if I am permitted to quote the Bible and read it.
That's fine.
Okay, great. James 1:5. It said, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. Pray about your. So I tell people to pray about their weaknesses. I pray about my weaknesses.
Yeah.
And then we must also be committed to our weakness. Committing to your weakness is the only way you can overcome your weakness. Because once you are committed to it, you are committed to fighting and overcoming your weakness. Yeah.
All right. That's powerful. Personal innovation is something that, for us, we believe that the future of work needs. I believe that just as organizations innovate, so they do not become stagnant or they innovate to become more competitive, human beings will need to be innovative. Now, tell me, what is your definition of personal innovation and how important and relevant do you think this concept is to our careers and our world of business going forward into the future?
Okay. I would say personal innovation is about rethinking and you rethinking the ways you do things. It's I read somewhere that I'm trying to quote, but then I think I can't quote it, so I'll try to make meaning from what I read. It says it's about rethinking the ways you do things on a daily basis to meet the dynamism of this world. Because you might do something that is working today. Let's take Apple. Great. Let's take Apple for instance, or any other iOS. They keep on updating their iOS or their system because things and times change. Demands always change. You're an entrepreneur. Your clients or your customers, the needs of your clients or customers change. So you'd also have to be changing from time to time. So innovation, being creative, coming up with new ideas. Let's say you could say rebranding, redefining what you stand for or what you do to meet the changes. That's what I would say is personal innovation.
Wow, that's powerful. Tell us, who is that one individual, an icon, a celebrity, a mentor, a coach that you look up to in everything you do and why?
Well, number one, Shamokwe.
Wow.
Yeah, he's no more. That's when I wanted to be a footballer. But when I started this social initiative or social change advocacy thing, I never had anyone in mind until I met a man called Jack Sim. He's a Singaporean, a millionaire or billionaire, if you like. And then this man had so much. And then we were under the same roof in the same conference for a week. And then we became friends. And then I was always talking to this man, and then he was giving me ideas. I realized his path is similar to my path. What he's doing is exactly what I'm doing. So he's the one I look up to. And then Jackson, if you like, I'll speak a little bit about him. He is the founder of the Restroom Association of Singapore and the founder of the World Toilet Organization, WTO, and the World Toilet Day Initiative, and the bottom of the pyramid hub. And then he decided to devote the rest of his life to social work after attaining financial independence at the age of 40. So he's 60 years now. And then since 40 years, the past 20 years, he has devoted his life to social change. And this is the kind of person I like to look up to. This is what I want to do. This is the imprint I want to leave on the world. And in 2001, he received the Schwab Foundation Award and Leadership Award for the Social Entrepreneur of the Year. He won the President's Award for Volunteerism and Philanthropy in 2016. He won the Best Asian of the Year twice, just through social change. And then he's doing so much, and he is the one I look up to. I want to be that man or that person who is spoken of as devoted his life for social change. Yeah. So I look up to Jackson a lot.
That's powerful. I realize that Jack has built a brand for himself in his area of expertise. In the area, he's an authority in his field. He's somebody, a name that you can mention anytime. Now, do you think that you are a brand today? Do you believe you can become a brand that will drive emotions, loyalty, credibility, and even be remembered when you are no more?
Definitely. I believe I am becoming a brand. I am a brand and becoming a better brand. I'll give a simple scenario. I receive calls and text messages, emails every single day from time to time. People finding volunteer opportunities, not just from Ghana, but then from outside the world. So I asked myself, over 25 million people in Ghana, why would people from outside Ghana call me or send me an email, me, Anguah, an email that they are looking for a volunteer opportunity? Sometimes not just in Ghana, but finding opportunities in different countries. So it made me realize that I'm becoming an authority when it comes to volunteerism. And recently, too, I was invited to the World Economic Forum on Africa in South Africa in May to speak on children's rights. So it makes me feel important, feel appreciated. It makes me realize that I'm a brand, I'm becoming an authority because I'm invited to come and speak on what I do amongst African leaders. So it makes me feel and then believe that, yes, I'm a brand, but then becoming a bit
Powerful. Now let's go on. Your network is your net worth. We need to always think about who we know and who knows us to be able to advance our dreams. How do you go about networking with people necessary to achieve your dreams?
Okay, so I always tell my friends, I have no business going to a place I won't meet someone who can help me. I have no business there. So I attend relevant occasions, relevant events, relevant conferences that I know when I go, I'll meet the Jack Sims, I'll meet the Eric Seriams, where I'll meet the like-minded people, those who can actually help me reach where I want to go. I won't go to a place where, I'm not downplaying any other event, but then a place where I just see people speak or perform. People will look up to, but then after they perform, they leave, and then I don't get to interact with them. I go to a place where I can interact with people. People will look up to. That's actually what networking is, where you can relate with people, share ideas, share information, share contacts. And then when you need help, you can call on them, or you need advice and call on them. I always use Jackson since I met him as an example. Since I met him, we've been in touch. And we are even on, we've left email and phone calls to WhatsApp chat. Anytime I need some guidance, I'll send a WhatsApp message. Once he sees it, he'll respond if he can. And then these are the kind of people we need. So to meet these people, you go to events that they attend. So I go about my networking through the events and seminars that I attend, meeting like-minded people who can help me achieve my goal.
Wow. Innovation family, where are you going to? Where are you gathering at? What types of events are you attending? Are they events that have people with that has same ideas as you have? Or there are places where you just go and waste your time? My brother, members of the Innovation family know that we all have to become innovators of our own careers and lives. Now, what do you do to make sure you stay educated, knowledgeable, and up to date as far as your industry and area of expertise is concerned?
Okay, what I'm going to say is actually, those who know me will know it's funny because I don't like reading, but I am forced to read because there's so much knowledge in reading. Because I have to read about human rights, I have to read about volunteerism, I have to read about refugees, because these are the three things that I do mainly. So first of all, reading, and then listening to relevant speeches. So a UN conference on human rights to refugees won't pass without me reading an article about it. Recently, what's happened in Libya, I am following it constantly to keep myself abreast with what's happening, because I work in the refugee space. So I have to follow what's happening, because if you work in a space and you don't follow what's happening in that space, you can't be up to date. You won't know what's going on in that field. And I also take online courses. There are so many free online courses. Some of them are paid for, but most of them are free on human rights or volunteerism or working for refugees. Online courses that I take. So these online courses keep updating me. They keep upgrading me. So I keep on learning. It's a process. You can't just say I'm a master of volunteerism. So, hey, I'm done. I'm going to volunteer all my life. Things and times change. As I said, the dynamism of this world is moving very fast. So you have to keep reading, keep taking more courses, and then keep listening to speeches in that regard. Wow. So that's what I do to keep myself educated.
Good. Innovation family, today you have no excuse. Knowledge is just abound. Information is just here, left, right, center. And you have no excuse to say you will not learn. Just go ahead and learn more. My brother, open your tools box for my listeners? What tools or what book or what internet resource do you use that benefits you that you'd like to recommend to my listeners?
Okay. First of all, there's this book I'm in love with. It's very new. It's called The Fourth Industrial Revolution by Klaus Schwab, and it just talks about everything technology and then engineering, where the world is going to. You realize that everything is pointing to one direction: technological advancement. That's the fourth industrial revolution. And then I would recommend that everyone, even if I'm no engineer, but then I'm not so much into technology, but you realize that whatever I'm doing, there's a bit of, or not a bit, technology can actually advance what I'm doing. So I advise everyone to read that book, and also everyone should also learn more about design thinking, because the world right now is standing on the shoulders of design thinking. And most people don't know what design thinking is about. And then I myself am now learning design thinking. And it's the best thing. Apple, Samsung, IBM, all these big companies are using design thinking. So I advise people to take lessons or read more about design thinking. That's the way they can upgrade themselves. Like I was saying, the Nokia CEO was crying, saying, we did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong. Meanwhile, Apple, Samsung, everyone is going because of design thinking, but they had stagnated, if to borrow your word. I don't know how to frame this, but then it all boils down to passion. It's just like music and dance. You can't say it's your passion, so you're good at it. You must practice. So that's what I do. I am good at what I do, but then I practice to be better.
Okay.
Music and dance. You can't be a good dancer without music. So passion and hard work move hand in hand. So these are the three things that I would say.
Perfect. Now, anytime we have a guest on this platform, on the Innovation podcast, we throw out a challenge. And that is your passion project. Yes, you are doing a lot of passion projects. You are doing a lot of things. But we want to know, in the next few months, what big things, what new things will you do for us to celebrate you the next time we have you on the podcast?
Great. Interesting question. Okay, so I'm working on something currently I call the African Youth Forum. So what the African Youth Forum is, that's what you are going to celebrate me about, or are going to celebrate about me in a few months when we speak again. And then I'm getting like-minded people like you and I from various African countries to move the youth, or to call the youth to action. So that's going to be the African Youth Forum. We are not going to wait for the leaders or the so-called leaders to come and do things for us. We are going to move things ourselves.
Wow,
and very soon I have people in various countries. I just want to cut across all Africa, and then we start moving. And very soon you hear and I'll be calling on you.
That's very powerful. We can't wait for that. We are just ready to innovate. Where can my innovation family find out more about this project and any other projects that you're doing, and then connect with you, share in what you're doing, and contribute their quota to your success?
Great. Okay, so with CARE, we have a website which went down a few months back, but we are bringing it back up. It's childrenarereasoningenough.org. Childrenarereasoningenough.org. And then with RIO, the Refugee Integration Organization, you go to rioedu.org, RIOEDU.org. And then to find more about me, it's DK Anguah Jr. Everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. And if you go to globalshapers.org, you just search for DK Anguah Jr. You find me there too, and then you know more about me and what I do.
That's very powerful. We have to constantly evolve, adapt to new realities, be accountable for ourselves, and think creatively if we want to survive. What final lesson or words of wisdom and guidance do you want to offer my audience who are trying to dream, follow their passions, and create a career out of it, just as you are doing?
Okay, so I'll share a speech I listened. That's what I'll share as my sign-out lesson. So he made a demonstration about someone working out, gymming, like bench push or whatever. I'm not sure what it's called, but I believe you know what I'm called, the bench bars.
Yeah, I got it.
And then he says okay, so the person lifts it up and then brings it down to the chest and goes back up. The person wants something, so the person is not resting. The person rests only for a second. So that's when you go up,
down, up, down. So it's just a second. The person doesn't rest so long. So if, like I said earlier, if you rest so much, you keep procrastinating, and then your dreams will die. So what I would tell the innovation family is that even if you are good at it, keep practicing, not debating. But he said, are born equal, but the best work harder in pre-season. So whilst others are sleeping, I'm not saying you shouldn't sleep. I sleep a lot. I love my sleep. But then you shouldn't rest so much. You shouldn't oversleep. While others are slumbering, you are practicing. And that's the only way you become better at what you do. And I also encourage everyone to pick up a volunteer initiative. Wherever you are, there might be a social problem which is seeking for help, which needs a solution. And you can offer that solution. Even if you don't know that solution, you can just volunteer your little time or little money or ideas or talent or skill to that cause.
Wow.
So everyone should pick up the attitude of volunteering.
That's powerful. Wow, Innovation family, go out there and innovate. Go out there and volunteer. Go out there and shine to the world. And that is what our guest is telling us. My brother, again on this podcast, because we love what you're doing, we know that you are changing the world, we will not want you to end. We would want you to continue doing this over and over again until the whole world is transformed. So you make a pledge. We call it the personal innovation pledge. And you repeat after me. Are you ready for the pledge?
Okay.
Great. I pledge to continue living my dream.
I pledge to continue living my dream.
I pledge to think bigger about who I am.
I pledge to think bigger about who I am.
And change the world by doing what I love.
And change the world by doing what I love.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Wow. On behalf of the Innovation family, we have witnessed your pledge and pray you fulfill it. Thank you very much for sharing a piece of you with the Innovation family.
Thank you so much for having me, and God bless you too for what you're doing.
Great. Wow, my wonderful listeners, thank you very much for listening in. Stay tuned in for the next episode, and as usual, it promises to be motivational, educational, and thought-provoking. Go out there and shine to the world. Thank you.
Remember to subscribe because there's more to come. Follow Eric on Twitter at Sir Eric Suriram A and on Facebook, facebook.com/Personal Innovation Hub. Remember to rate and review the show. Share this with friends who need to hear.